We are now talking to Notre Dame defensive tackle recruit Gabriel Rubio, right? Am I right about that, Rubio? Am I right?
Yes, sir.
You see, I am terrible with names, Gabe. I am absolutely. Can I call you Gabe?
Absolutely.
All right. I'm terrible with names. Anybody that'll tell you, I've interviewed recruits, top end athletes from the NBA, the NHL, the NFL. It completely throws me off when I read some of these long names. Actually, we interviewed Sujic, Tehran Sujic the other day, and I called him Sojic. And he was like, no, it's Sujic. Sujic. All right, Tehran. That was the second time I interviewed him because we were talking to him about Marcus Bradley actually recommitting to Vanderbilt. But how are you and your family doing over there with the whole pandemic?
We're doing great, doing the best we can day to day and, just living life,
Absolutely. By the way, what is it like being a part of this whole pandemic thing and being recruited by the great Notre Dame and not really going to check out the school, not going and meeting the coaches in person? What is it like doing this whole Zoom session? I've asked a ton of players this. Do you think that this pandemic has taken away the best part of your career going to college?
I always wish that I could have it back, like not having it all over Zoom and everything, but, that's just how it is. I wish I could, just redo it without this whole pandemic thing, but, I can't change that. But I've had a good time. I've had a good run, and I'm just ready to go.
So is there anything specific about Brian Kelly that swayed you to pick Notre Dame over some of the other schools you were recruited by?
He's a winning coach, a winning record coach. And it wasn't just him. It was the collection of coaches that they got there. Coach Elston, Coach Lee, even though that he will be going soon. But it's just the collection of the guys, the players as well. They have that brotherhood type situation that I've always been looking for in a college. And, I just thought that it was a perfect fit.
Gabe, the defensive tackle position. We've interviewed a lot of defensive tackles over the last couple of weeks and top recruits. When you look at the defensive tackle position, and we talk about the nose tackle, the linebackers, do you think the defensive tackle now is the best defensive position when it comes to transitioning from college football to the NFL?
Absolutely. A bunch of guys get recruited for the defensive tackle position, but it's also important to have guys who can play effectively interiorly, because it's a mixture of, pass rush, knowing when to pass rush and knowing when it's a run. So you have to be able to read a lot more quicker. And, just having the reaction time to be able to do that is on a whole nother level, or so I'm told, but that's probably one of the main reasons why I think that defensive tackles, nose guards specifically, have it a little bit rougher than the DNs. Also, DNs have a little more space to work with, while defensive tackles and nose guards are basically right in the face of the O-lineman.
So you actually brought up a good point with the defensive tackles, how valuable they have become. And analytics and next-gen stats have really favored a lot of those guys, making a big difference in today's game. And we've seen a lot more picked in the first round, early in the first round than ever before. Besides Ndamukong Suh and Gerald McCoy, we never really saw top 5, top 10 defensive tackles. But until recently, now we saw Quentin Williams and Oliver, guys like that. Do you think this is a trend that will continue as with the analytics in the game?
Yeah, you know how the NFL trends go. They pick up new players every year depending on their needs, right? So I'm hoping for the next couple of years that some teams will be looking for more defensive tackles and nose guards.
We are talking to Notre Dame defensive tackle recruit Gabriel Rubio. Now, Gabe, I love watching defensive players play, especially the linebacker position. Now, you look at yourself as a defensive tackle. I see you're a big man. You're what, 6'4", 6'5", almost 280 pounds, 270 pounds. You're big. You're strong, right? How big are you?
I'm 6'5", 290 pounds.
98 pounds. Now, we've seen a lot of players transition from the defensive tackle position to a defensive end. We've also seen defensive tackles turn into linebackers. Do you see yourself as a transitional type of player?
Absolutely not. If I was faster, maybe, but I see myself sticking at the nose guard defensive tackle position.
So your father is actually an NFL player for a while, played with 4 different teams from 1998 to 99, and then he played in the XFL for a while. So one, how did he help you, influence you playing football, obviously? And number two, is there any like great stories or great moments that he might have told you about, or he might have shown you about, maybe with other teammates or opponents in either one of those leagues?
Yeah, so everything that I know today, he has taught me from his coaches that he played under in the NFL. And I am very fortunate to have his experience and wisdom to help me to help guide me on my recruiting career and my football career right now. Because without the knowledge that he has given to me, I don't think I'd be in the same position that I am now. And some other stories that he's told me, like one really fun one that I'll always remember is that I think it was during a game, he got the wind knocked out of him while their team was on I think the 10, or it was in the red zone. I can't remember what yard line it was, but he got the wind knocked out of him, and then he had to play another play exactly after that, like immediately after that, I mean. And while he was like still like trying to catch his breath, he had to go a whole nother play before he could actually go and breathe in, like after getting hit. And that just shows a level of commitment that I am willing to try to emulate.
Now, the prestige of Notre Dame, everybody talks about Notre Dame, like I was talking about the Rudy movie, and Joe Montana played over there. And Notre Dame has always been, in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and early 80s, Notre Dame was the place to go. Now, over the years, even though Ryan Kelly has been there, Notre Dame has failed to win a championship. And now all of a sudden this year they're talking about trying to get into that Fab Four. I call it the Fab Four, get into the tournament where they have the opportunity to go all the way to the national championship game. Why Notre Dame? Was it your father pushing you to go there? Was it your mom? Did you always want to go there? Did you have any thoughts of maybe going to Florida State or going to Clemson or going to Alabama? Why was it Notre Dame? Why was Notre Dame your top choice?
Yeah, so from the very beginning, they were one of the first colleges to ever give me like recognition, I should say. They saw potential in me from a very young age. I believe it was my sophomore year that I went to a camp for them. And I just really hit it off with Coach Elston, the current D-line coach. And we've built a relationship ever since, And it's just one of those things that over time it develops. And as I visited other schools, I always had a checklist, which was number 1, academics, number 2, the family atmosphere, number 3, a great coaching staff. And almost immediately, Notre Dame fit all those checklists. But most of the schools that I went and visited to, they would check 2 or 3, or 2 or just 1. And I would always find myself comparing the other schools back to Notre Dame, like thinking to myself, this is what makes Notre Dame special.
It's funny. If Notre Dame needs a water boy, Speedy is definitely the guy. He is definitely the guy. I mean, I was watching The Waterboy the other day with Adam Sandler. I think it's Speedy is the perfect guy to go over there to Notre Dame, hang out with all the men, all the guys, and get you the towels for the locker room, get it, the showers, wait outside so he doesn't look at you in the showers, and give you your water. He is that type of guy. Speedy Petey is the perfect guy for Notre Dame. The big N, the big, whatever they call it, the clover leaf. We'll call Speedy your special needed special clover leaf. How's that sound?
Sounds funny, but I don't think I'll be needing it.
I wouldn't be needing it either. Trust me.
That's awesome.
Speedy is
By the way,
frozen.
I would not be that epic if I was a water boy. No, I'm back.
like-
I would never be that epic if I was a water boy.
You look like Adam Sandler from that movie, that's for sure. With your hair the way it is, your beard. I mean, you look like the water boy.
Yeah, I just could never be that epic. So, Gabe, Notre Dame made an interesting move this year going into the ACC. They were an independent team for a while. We've seen their other sports play ACC with basketball. Sometimes they play Big Ten with hockey. I think they're formal members of, but they're always independent with football until this year. One, do you think that has helped them elevate their status into the college football playoff, being the number 2 seed right now, undefeated? And also number 2, do you think that's a move they should do permanently in order to maybe improve that kind of stock, if you do think it makes a difference? Or do you think just Notre Dame's just that good and maybe the conference didn't even matter?
You know, Notre Dame's always been historically independent. I really think it'd be a shame if they changed that now, because, you know, being able to play whoever they want on a weekly basis during the season is actually something that most colleges can't do, because they're stuck in a conference, right? And they're always playing the same teams. With being independent, you can go year by year and play different teams, and it just adds a whole, you know, thing of variety. But back to your question, I do think that it's pretty helpful, you know, just to know who you're playing against and like expecting certain things going week by week. But no, I don't think that it should be permanent.
As you guys know, we are talking to defensive tackle recruit from Notre Dame, the great Gabriel Rubio. I'm good, man. I should be a part of the team. I should be the guy that's talking on the announcements. I'm the guy, when you guys reach the field, I'll be like, and now introducing. What do you think? You think Notre Dame would give me a job over there? I deserve one. You know?
I mean, maybe.
I know I'm definitely not a water boy, and I definitely don't want to hang out at the showers. That's for sure. That's Speedy's job. That's not my job.
You got the raspy voice for it, so I say go for it.
The raspy voice for it. Thanks, Gabe. Gabe, did you play any other sports in high school, or were you a good basketball player? Were you a good baseball player? Why football?
Football allows me to do things that other sports cannot. First of all, I can literally throw my entire body weight into people play by play, almost giving them certain concussions, you know, breaking ribs maybe if I hit them hard enough, hoping I hit them hard enough. But yeah, it's been a family tradition. I love playing football, just the game. You know, it's very unique compared to other sports. And I used speaking of other sports, I used to wrestle my freshman year. I tried that out, didn't like it. Not for me.
You're a big wrestler. You would be a really, really big wrestler. I wouldn't want to wrestle you. 6'5", 6'6", 290 pounds. You probably wrestled at 250, right? I
wrestled in the 285 category, the heavyweights.
Holy. Oh my God. I wrestled too in high school, and I'm an MMA guy too. So I did MMA, and I used to grapple against wrestlers who were twice the size of me. You do not want to grapple a guy that actually knows what he's doing on the mat. You do not want to wrestle a wrestler. You just don't want to do that. Even grapple a wrestler. You don't stand a chance. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, that's what I found out whenever I was sparring with my running back my freshman year. He was I believe a junior going into senior year, and he was the 220 class and he was a all-state wrestler. He had all the accolades for wrestling. He was just phenomenal.
Well, Speedy's an all-state moron, so there you go. I'm just kidding. Gabe, I'm telling you, if you actually listen to our show, it's not just Speedy I pick on. I never pick on any of the recruits or any of our guests, but
it's just that he's here.
It's Speedy and all the fans that call the show and they try to attack us and say the things that they say. I love it. I love the attacks, and then I just attack. I rip their heads off. That's what I do. But that's sports radio, and that's what we do over here. And I'm happy that you're joining us.